Here's something most people don't realize about Rolls-Royce. This isn't just another luxury car manufacturer making the transition to electric vehicles because regulations force them to, or because it's trendy. This is a brand that's been building what they call the best car in the world for over a century, and they've decided that electric power is actually superior for their purposes. That's a bold statement, and the 2025 Rolls-Royce Spectre is the physical manifestation of that philosophy. This isn't a compromise. This isn't Rolls-Royce reluctantly entering the EV era. This is them declaring that electric power has finally reached a level of refinement worthy of the spirit of ecstasy. Let's establish what the Spectre actually represents in the Rolls-Royce lineup. This is their first fully electric vehicle, and it's positioned as a spiritual successor to the legendary Phantom Coupe. But calling it just an electric coupe doesn't do it justice. The Spectre is Rolls-Royce's statement about the future of ultra-luxury motoring, a vehicle that costs well over $400,000 before you even start exploring the nearly infinite customization options available through their bespoke program. This is a car where the phrase "if you have to ask the price" genuinely applies, and yet there's a waiting list of clients eager to own one. The exterior design is quintessentially Rolls-Royce, which means it's both evolutionary and unmistakably modern. The proportions are dramatic, with a long hood, a steeply raked windscreen, and a fastback roofline that flows into a distinctive boat-tail rear end. The Pantheon grille dominates the front fascia, now backlit with LED lights that create an ethereal glow. This grille isn't just decorative either. Despite being an electric vehicle with reduced cooling needs, Rolls-Royce kept the grille for aerodynamic purposes and brand identity. The entire front end has been sculpted to direct airflow efficiently, contributing to a drag coefficient of just 0.25, which is remarkable for a vehicle of this size and presence. The dimensions are genuinely imposing. The Spectre stretches over 18 feet in length and weighs a staggering 6,559 pounds. That's nearly 3 tons of automobile, and yet the way it moves defies every expectation you might have about a vehicle this massive. The wheels are enormous, with standard 23-inch alloys that look almost small given the car's overall scale. The body sides are smooth and uninterrupted, with subtle character lines that catch light in interesting ways depending on viewing angle. Every panel is hand-finished at the Goodwood factory, with paint application that involves multiple layers and extensive hand polishing to achieve that signature Rolls-Royce depth and luster. Those iconic coach doors remain, of course. These aren't regular doors that hinge from the front. They're rear-hinged portals that swing open nearly 90 degrees, providing an expansive opening that makes entry and exit genuinely graceful. The doors are power-operated, opening and closing at the touch of a button with mechanical precision. There's substantial engineering behind these doors, with the hinges, motors, and closing mechanisms designed to operate silently and smoothly through hundreds of thousands of cycles. When you press the button to close them, they pull shut with a satisfying mechanical authority that speaks to the quality of construction. Now let's talk about what makes this car move, because the powertrain is where the Spectre really starts to reveal its capabilities. Rolls-Royce has installed 2 electric motors, one at each axle, providing all-wheel drive and a combined output of 577 horsepower. But here's what really matters in a Rolls-Royce: the torque figure. We're talking about 664 pound-feet of instant torque available from 0 RPM. This is the characteristic that makes electric power so perfect for this application. There's no waiting for turbos to spool, no need for the engine to climb into its power band. Press the accelerator, and the full force of those electric motors is immediately available. The performance figures are genuinely startling for a vehicle of this size and weight. 0 to 60 miles per hour happens in just 4.4 seconds. Think about that for a moment. This is a 3-ton luxury coupe that accelerates faster than most sports cars from a decade ago. The quarter-mile passes in the low 12-second range. These are numbers that would be impressive in a dedicated performance car, let alone a vehicle designed primarily for effortless, silent luxury. Top speed is electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, which is more than adequate for a car of this character. The battery pack is massive, with a usable capacity of 102 kilowatt-hours. This enormous battery is mounted low in the chassis, contributing to a lower center of gravity than any previous Rolls-Royce. The placement also helps achieve near-perfect weight distribution, which is crucial for handling dynamics. Range is estimated at around 260 to 290 miles depending on driving conditions and style, which is reasonable given the vehicle's size and weight. Charging capability includes DC fast charging at up to 195 kilowatts, allowing the battery to go from 10 to 80% in roughly 34 minutes under ideal conditions. But specifications only tell part of the story. What matters in a Rolls-Royce is how all this technology translates into the driving experience, or more accurately, the experience of being transported. The Spectre rides on an advanced air suspension system that Rolls-Royce calls planar suspension. This system incorporates the existing air struts, but adds an upper wishbone damper that Rolls-Royce actually borrowed from racing technology. The result is a suspension system that can react to road conditions with unprecedented speed and precision. The suspension works in conjunction with the flag bearer system, which uses a forward-facing camera to read the road surface ahead. This camera can detect imperfections, potholes, and changes in road texture up to 100 meters in advance. That information is processed instantly, and the suspension adjusts proactively rather than reactively. The effect is genuinely remarkable. The Spectre seems to glide over road surfaces that would unsettle lesser vehicles. Expansion joints, rough pavement, even moderate potholes are absorbed with such completeness that occupants barely register their presence. The steering system deserves special attention because Rolls-Royce has achieved something quite special here. The Spectre uses a steer-by-wire system for the rear wheels, allowing up to 3.5 degrees of rear-wheel steering. At low speeds, the rear wheels turn opposite to the fronts, effectively shortening the wheelbase and making this enormous coupe surprisingly maneuverable. At higher speeds, the rear wheels turn in the same direction as the fronts, enhancing stability and making lane changes feel more planted and secure. The effect is subtle but meaningful, making the Spectre feel more agile than its size suggests, while maintaining that characteristic Rolls-Royce sense of solidity and mass. Step inside the Spectre, and you enter a realm that most people will simply never experience. This isn't just luxury. This is automotive craftsmanship elevated to the level of high art. The interior design follows Rolls-Royce's principle of sanctuary, creating a space that feels removed from the outside world. The dashboard incorporates the largest pieces of wood veneer ever fitted to a Rolls-Royce, with a continuous surface that flows from door to door. Each piece of wood is selected for its grain pattern, book-matched for symmetry, and hand-finished with multiple coats of lacquer. The leather is sourced from bulls raised in specific regions where environmental conditions produce hides with minimal imperfections. Each hide is inspected by hand, with only the finest examples making it into production. The leather is colored, using techniques that create depth and richness impossible to achieve with standard methods. Stitching is done by hand where visible, with craftspeople spending years mastering the technique required to maintain consistent stitch length and tension. The seats are engineering marvels in their own right. They're designed to provide support without feeling firm, comfort without feeling soft. The adjustment range is extensive, with 20 different power adjustments allowing occupants to find their ideal position. Heating, ventilation, and massage functions are standard, controlled through intuitive interfaces integrated into the door panels. The seats themselves are mounted on frames designed to isolate occupants from any vibrations transmitted through the chassis. The Starlight headliner is a Rolls-Royce signature that takes on new meaning in the Spectre. Thousands of fiber optic lights are hand-woven into the headliner, creating the appearance of a star field overhead. But the Spectre introduces starlight doors, extending this treatment to the door panels. The effect is genuinely magical, especially at night, creating an interior environment that feels more like a luxury yacht or private aircraft than an automobile. Technology integration is handled with typical Rolls-Royce discretion. The Spirit of Ecstasy rotates to reveal a touchscreen display that rises from the dashboard when needed and retracts when not in use. This keeps the interior clean and uncluttered while still providing access to navigation, audio, climate control, and vehicle settings. The audio system is a bespoke 18-speaker setup that Rolls-Royce claims produces studio-quality sound reproduction. Given the complete absence of engine noise, the acoustic environment inside the Spectre is remarkably pure, allowing the audio system to perform at its absolute best. The silence is actually one of the most striking characteristics of the Spectre. Rolls-Royce has always prioritized quietness, but removing the internal combustion engine eliminates a major source of noise and vibration. The company added over 100 kilograms of sound-deadening material to create what they claim is the quietest Rolls-Royce ever built. At highway speeds, conversation happens at normal speaking volume with no need to raise voices. Wind noise is virtually absent. Tire roar is suppressed to barely perceptible levels. The overall effect is surreal, creating a sense of isolation from the outside world that's genuinely unlike anything else on the road. The rear seats offer space that's genuinely luxurious, with excellent legroom and headroom despite the coupe roofline. Rear passengers get their own climate controls, powered sun blinds for the rear window and side glass, and theater-style seating that places them slightly higher than front occupants for better visibility. The center console houses a refrigerated compartment sized for champagne bottles and crystal flutes because, of course, it does. This is a Rolls-Royce, after all. What's particularly interesting about the Spectre is how it represents Rolls-Royce's vision for their entire future lineup. This isn't an experiment or a special edition. This is the template for every Rolls-Royce that will be built from this point forward. The company has committed to full electrification by 2030, and the Spectre demonstrates that they can make this transition without compromising the qualities that define the brand. The silence, the effortless power delivery, the sense of occasion, all of these elements are not just preserved, but actually enhanced by electric propulsion. Customization through the bespoke program is virtually limitless. Clients can specify unique paint colors, custom interior materials, personalized embroidery and inlay work, and countless other details. Some clients commission truly unique creations, with Rolls-Royce craftspeople spending hundreds of hours bringing individual visions to life. The paint alone can involve weeks of work for particularly complex color specifications. Coach lines, the hand-painted accent stripes, are still applied by one of only 3 people in the world qualified to perform this exacting work. So what does all of this add up to? The 2025 Rolls-Royce Spectre represents something genuinely significant in automotive history. This is a heritage luxury brand demonstrating that electrification isn't about compromise, but about achieving new levels of refinement. The silence, the instant torque delivery, the lack of vibration, these aren't drawbacks to be managed, but advantages that align perfectly with Rolls-Royce values. This is a car that costs more than most people's houses and justifies that price through uncompromising attention to detail and unmatched craftsmanship. The Spectre isn't just Rolls-Royce's first electric vehicle. It's a declaration that the future of ultra-luxury motoring has arrived, and it's more refined, more silent, and more effortlessly powerful than ever before.